Hello everyone. Today we're going to go over how to pull immunization compliance reports. So when you first log into PowerSchool, you want to make sure that you're in this correct school that you want to pull from. So if you're only looking for high school, obviously you'd be in high school. If you want kindergarten, you'd be in elementary, so on and so forth. But if you want K through 12, then I would actually just select district office, just so you can get everyone all in one. Yes, it's going to include both Westland and Brighton, but you are able to filter those out when we convert our report into an Excel file, and I'm going to show you how to do that today as well. So we're in district office, and you are going to click on health over to the left over here, and then we're going to select all immunizations. Once this loads, it should say all immunizations, and then over here at immunization mode on the right hand side, it should say not compliant. Don't select display optional vaccines just because those vaccines are optional, so we're not really worried about that when we're looking at compliance. And then from down here, you can select show, and it is going to list the students' immunizations that they are behind on. Now from here, yes, I know that we see there are multiple schools, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We are just going to select all of the students. So there's this little check mark up in the top, and it'll select all of them. So now from here, we're going to go down to the bottom where it says download, and download will be kind of blurred out like it is over here. We need to select an option for that. So the two that you're going to want to use is either CSV, the comma separated value, or Excel spreadsheet, XLSX. Generally, you're going to want to stick with CSV because if we ever want to upload anything, this is an easier file type to upload, and most websites prefer this formatting anyways, so usually you want to stick with CSV. So now once I do that, it'll give me an option to download this, and I'm just going to leave it as immunizations. You just click save. And so now you have that file downloaded, and we can just click on it and open it. Alrighty, here is our Excel file, and essentially what I did is I just hid the students' names and their phone numbers. That way no personal information was available, just because this is a public forum. But if you do want to hide a column or a row, all you do is you select the particular row or column that you want to hide, and you are going to right click it, and then there will be all these options. You're going to want to select hide, and that's how it's going to get rid of it. Now if you want to unhide it, obviously you right click it and you select unhide and it'll reveal all those columns and rows that you previously hid. So now, other quick Excel starter is, you'll notice on for school, it says that this is technically Brighton Elementary, but it's not fitting in the entire row because it's not the right size. Instead of manually dragging it to be the right size, what you can do is when you see this little cursor pop up, instead of it being like an arrow or a mouse image, and it becomes that line with two arrows, you're just going to double click, and it automatically sizes everything. You can do it for the entire sheet if you select this arrow up here in the top left corner, and then when you see this cursor again, you're going to double click it. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to unhide my rows. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our immunization, and again I'm going to double click it. Now usually what you want to do is look at the longest lists. So right here on this particular student, they're in 7th grade. They should technically have all of these vaccinations already, but it's not showing up. More than likely, this is a new student that we just enrolled, and we just haven't put their vaccination records in. We haven't received their vaccination records yet, or they have an exemption that we need to put into the system. These are all just vaccines that are not in our system. That doesn't mean that the students don't have the vaccine already. So whenever you're going through and you want a faster way to check students' vaccines and making sure that we are in compliance, always look at the longest list first, because those are usually going to be the ones where we probably have the records and we just haven't put it in. Ones that students are probably just generally missing If they are in the 6th grade time frame, that is usually when the next MCV or MV or the meningitis vaccine is due, as well as their upcoming DTaP or TDAP. It kind of just depends. And then the other grade level that it usually pops up for that particular one is in high school. That's when the TDAP, so that's their 6th or 7th round of the tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis vaccine that's due. Those are the main ones that people end up missing just because it's when the students are older and they're not going to see a pediatrician regularly. Whereas with your younger grades, you're not going to see as many students. So you'll notice that a majority of our students are all in 5th grade and up, because when they're younger, they're usually going already. The main grades you want to really focus in on, though, is kindergarten and 6th grade. Those are the main grades that the state looks at to see if we are in compliance. Obviously, still make sure that you send notices home for all grade levels, but prioritize kindergarten and 6th grade first. So kinder and 6th, then go through and do the rest of the grade levels. So now we don't want these big long lists. They are probably not going to be super helpful because it's hard to see everything and understand everything. So I'm going to show you how to actually separate text in columns. So I'm just going to make this smaller, just to make my life a little easier right now. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this entire row. I'm going to go into data. And then there's a little option that says text to columns right here. So you can select fixed width or delimited. We're going to choose delimited. Fixed width is where there's like perfectly matching pieces. So if it was all Hep B and I just wanted the Hep B instead of the entire hepatitis B listed out, those would obviously have this same width because they're the exact same text and length. But we don't have that, so we're going to select delimited and select next. And so for this particular list, usually if you want to separate a student's first and last name, because it's always the comma separating them, you can select comma. But if I do that here, that's going to give me a lot of rows, which I don't want because the DTaP goes with 3 different viruses, illnesses, whatever you want to call it, diphtheria, comma, tetanus, and pertussis. That's going to give me 2 separate rows. I don't want that. So instead, you want to look at what is the main thing you want to look at. I only care about the actual abbreviation of the vaccines. So all of the vaccines have those abbreviations in parentheses. So I'm going to select other, and I'm actually going to start with my front parentheses. So I'm going to type that in, and it automatically gives me new rows. You can select next to see, or you can just select finish. So it does get rid of this entire front row because all of them start with the parentheses. So I am just going to select this entire piece and delete it. So if you want to do it quicker on your computer, just make sure you're in the correct box, and then you're going to hold the Control-Shift keys on your keyboard and then press the down arrow, and it's going to select the entire column besides that very top portion. And then you're going to, on your keyboard, press Control-, and it's going to delete those rows. For this one, we're going to want to shift the rows left because I want these to go 1 over to the left. So I select OK, and now I have it here. Now, I don't want all of these extra little bits. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do the same process over again for text to columns. So in order to do that, I need space over here. So I'm going to select this F column, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to insert a row. If you want a faster way to do that, if you, again, select the column F and you press your Control+ button, it'll automatically give you a new row. Otherwise, when you right click it and you select insert, it's going to insert an extra column right there. Sorry, I keep saying row, we're in columns. So now I can come over here and I'm going to select my very first row that I care about, because I don't care about this immunization, that's just a title. And I am going to, again, press Control Shift, my down arrow, and now instead of selecting everything that goes all the way down to the end of the Excel file, it only includes the very end of our data. So again, we're just getting rid of all of this extra wording, letters, so that we don't have to worry about it, and our Excel file is just a little easier, a little neater to look at. So again, I'm going to select text to columns, and I want to make sure I'm on delimited, next. And now instead of having the front parentheses, I'm going to have the back parentheses. I click next and finish. And now I have just that first immunization. And I can get rid of this part because there are no abbreviations in there. So I'm just going to drop down the arrow and I'm going to press my Control minus to delete it. And now I have my next row, or my next column. I keep doing that, sorry. So again, we're going to do the exact same thing. I need an extra column in here, so I'm going to press Control plus. Gives me my extra column. Now I'm going to select this column, text to columns. I want to make sure that it's delimited. Next, and then it should already still be there, that end parentheses. And you don't have to click next again, you can just click finish. And it's automatically going to give you what you need. And we get rid of this column by selecting it, and we're going to press Control minus on our keyboard. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of this finished for us just so we can move on with our video. Alrighty, so now that we have separated all of our immunizations or all of our vaccinations based on their abbreviations, now you want to go through and you just want to make sure that you fix any weird issues. So for the varicella vaccine, the VAR, that one technically gets typed out with 2 sets of parentheses because varicella is also known as chickenpox. So chickenpox actually ends up going in parentheses as well. We don't need to worry about having chickenpox listed in our thing, so we're actually just going to get rid of those. And the way you do it is you select where there's a chickenpox and you just press on your keyboard Control minus. And you always want to shift to the left in this particular instance. Now, if you want to do it a little faster, you can actually just select all your particular chickenpox and then you hold your Control key and select anywhere else that you see chickenpox and you want to just get rid of that word in particular. So don't hold Control when you scroll down because otherwise it's going to zoom in or zoom out with your page. So you just press Control when you're selecting the word you want to delete. So here is chickenpox, Control, I select it, I hold Control again, chickenpox. I'm going to select all of these. Now that I have selected all of those, I'm going to actually right click, I'm going to select delete, and I'm going to want to shift all the cells to the left. And so now my sheet is all nice and neat and we can go over our sorting options. So again, I have the names hidden for privacy purposes, but now what we're going to do is we are just going to sort all of our pieces. So you can call this immunization, and then maybe you want immunization 2, I'm not typing it out all the way, immunization 3, and then we have 4. Oop. If you want to skip to the next cell over to the right, you're going to click Tab on your keyboard, but if you want to go down, you press Enter. So immunization 4, I press Tab, and it goes automatically to the next one over. Immunization 5, and then again, immunization 6. And then when I press Enter, it goes down to the next row. So now we can sort our sheet however we would like to. So if you want to do it by a particular grade level, we are just going to select the entire piece. We're going to click Home up here, and we want to select Sort and Filter. we're going to do a custom sort. We want to make sure that my data has headers, because that's what those little title pieces are called. And now you can essentially sort by your particular information that you care about. So I'm going to organize by school first. I'm going to add a level, then I'm going to do it by grade level, then I will do it by name, so by the student. You press OK, and it automatically sorts everything. Now you'll notice, why isn't kindergarten up here? Well, the reason it's doing that is because in Excel, it always sorts numbers before it sorts letters. So if you want it to sort it as a number, you're going to have to press K. Or sorry, you're going to have to change K to be a 0. So we're just going to go down here and do that. Now, the reason that it's sorting that 0 before the 9 and it's not going in order is because we have the Brighton Elementary, so it put it before the 9th grade, so that's why that did that. But let me go down and fix the other kindergarten, which looks like we are good for Westland. So now we're just going to select it again, go back into sort and filter, custom sort, and you just press OK. And voila, our kindergarten is now up here. Now the next thing that you can do is you can select your headers, or you can just select the entire first row, and you can do something called filters. So if I select filter, which is in the sort and filter area, now what you can do is you can just hide anything that you don't care about. So if you are looking at just Westland's immunizations, you just unselect both Brighton's, and it gives you Brighton, or sorry, it gives you Westland. And then also vice versa. If you are only looking at Brighton's, you just uncheck all of the Westlands, and voila, you only have your Brighton. Now you can do the same thing for your grade levels. So let's say that you're doing it for both schools, and you only care about kindergarten and 6th grade for right now, because you want to get them out of the way first things first. So I select 0 and 6. And now I can see all of my kindergarten and 6th grade students that need updated immunizations. So again, this first kindergartner right here, the fact that all of these are missing, these are all required immunizations. I guarantee we probably just haven't put their records in. But this particular kindergartner, if they're missing a single DTaP record, more than likely they either haven't gotten it yet, or we didn't put it in correctly, or the records that we got were incomplete. Okay? And then for this particular 6th grader though, they're missing their meningitis and their Tdap, which is very, very normal for most of our 6th graders, because that is around the age when students are required to get their second or their first meningitis vaccine and their last or their second to last Tdap vaccine. So more than likely this student does not have these vaccines, and you need to send a reminder home to the parents and say, hey, these vaccines are due now. Because again, once they get older, the parents aren't going into pediatrician's office as much, so they kind of rely on us to help them remember, hey, don't forget, this is due. And you essentially just go through and you send home the letters that are pre-made in PowerSchool itself. And then as you go through and check students' records, you can take them out of the Excel file completely. If they have particular vaccines that actually are in, like they have them, and we just need to update it in our system, you can delete just a particular vaccine. So let's say this kindergartner does have their last Hep B, but they still need all of these last 4 vaccines. All you do is you select the vaccine that they have already gotten, and we've already put it into the system, and you press Control minus, and it's going to ask, do you want to delete the entire sheet row? I don't want to delete the entire sheet row. I only want to delete that particular cell. So it's only giving me that option because I have all these other rows hidden. So now if I expand all my filters, Actually, I think those are my ordering filters. It should allow me to delete just that cell, which you would shift cells left, so on and so forth. Do not shift the cells up, because then you're going to put this kindergarten student's polio vaccine up here, which then it would show that they need 2 different polio vaccines when that's not the case. One thing that this will not show is how many boosters of a particular vaccine a student needs. So let's say for this particular student, we just haven't put their records in. That means that none of the DTaP vaccines are going to be showing, or boosters are going to be showing in their profile. And once we put everything in, that might disappear. Or maybe we haven't put in their vaccines yet, and we put it into the system in PowerSchool, but this student hasn't gotten, let's say, their 4th or 5th round or whatever it may be of DTaP. This will still show out of compliance. So it's not going to show in the compliance report which booster they're missing. It's just going to show, hey, they're missing 1 or more of these particular vaccines, and it's following boosters. So that is it for your vaccine compliance reports.